Oh, goodness me. Just stop it, Robert. How do you want me to explain this to you? Just how? Please let me be. As Lisa stood by the window, the night was supposed to be perfect. After 6 years of waiting, longing and praying for Robert's return, tonight was finally the night. But as she glanced over at the bed, the knot in her stomach tightened. She could feel the tension creeping up her spine. Robert lay on the bed, already half undressed, his eyes filled with expectations. He smiled at her, the same charming smile that had captured her heart all those years ago. "Lisa," he called softly, "come to bed." Her heart skipped a beat, but it wasn't excitement that she felt. It was fear. She walked slowly towards him, her legs heavy, her mind racing. She had waited for this moment, dreamt of it countless nights, but now something inside her felt off. As she slipped under the covers, Robert reached for her. His touch, once warm and familiar, now felt strange, like a stranger's hand grazing her skin. "It's been a long time, Lisa," Robert whispered. "I've missed you so much, my baby girl." She swallowed hard, trying to ignore unease bubbling inside her. "I've missed you too, my baby," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Robert leaned in to kiss her, but as soon as the lips touched her, Lisa pulled back, wincing. "What's wrong, baby girl?" Robert asked, his face crazed with concern. It's just, I don't know," Lisa stammered, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. "It doesn't feel right at all." Robert tried again, this time slower, but Lisa's body tensed as his hand moved down her back. She flinched, pulling away completely. "No, Robert, just stop it," she said, her voice sharper than she intended. Robert sat up, his eyes wide with confusion. "Lisa, it's me. What's going on? Why are you acting like this?" Tears filled her eyes as she shook her head. "I don't know, Robert. I don't know what's happening to me. It's like my body is rejecting you. It hurts. I can't do this. It just can't enter." Robert stared at her, hurt and frustration evident on his face. "We've waited 6 long years for this. I've been dreaming about being with you again, and now you're telling me you can't." Lisa buried her face in her hands, her tears soaking through her fingers. "I don't know why. I thought I was ready, but it's too much. It's like I've forgotten how to be with you." The following day, Lisa couldn't shake the shame and confusion from the night before. She felt like a stranger in her own body, disconnected from the man she loved. Robert, though trying to be patient, couldn't hide disappointment in his eyes. They decided to try again that night. Robert was more gentle, more cautious. He whispered comforting words to her, trying to ease the tension, but every touch felt foreign, every movement awkward. As he kissed her neck, Lisa's breath quickened, not from desire, but from anxiety. She gritted her teeth, trying to will herself to relax. But the moment his hand slipped under her nightgown, her muzzle tightened. It was as if her body was at war with herself. Lisa and Robert had been madly in love when they got married. They were inseparable, always laughing, always holding hands. Their love was the kind that people dreamt of, the kind that seemed like it would last forever. They had built a life full of love and passion. But life had a way of testing even the strongest love. A year into their marriage, Robert received a job offer in another country, an opportunity to earn more money and provide a better life for them. At first, Lisa was hesitant. She didn't want to be apart from Robert, but after much discussions, they both agreed that it was the best decision for their future. Robert promised he would come home as often as he could, and Lisa believed him. She trusted that their love was strong enough to withstand distance, and for a while it was. They would talk on the phone every day, sending each other long messages filled with love and longing. But as time went on, the distance began to take its toll. The calls became less frequent, the messages shorter, and the visits rarer. Lisa felt the loneliness creeping in, but she didn't say anything. She wanted to be strong for Robert, to support him in his new career. She spent her days keeping herself busy, trying to ignore the emptiness she felt without him by her side. 6 years passed, and though their love remained, something had changed. The connection they once had seemed distant, almost unreachable. Lisa had built a life without Robert, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. Now, after 6 years of waiting, Robert was finally back, but as they tried to reconnect physically, it was as if they were strangers. Lisa couldn't understand why her body wasn't responding to Robert the way it used to. The intimacy they had once shared so easily now felt awkward and painful. The next day, Lisa couldn't shake the shame and confusion from the night before. She felt disconnected from her own body, like it no longer belonged to her. Robert, though trying to be patient, couldn't hide the disappointment in his eyes. That night, they tried again. Robert was more gentle, more cautious. He whispered comforting words, trying to ease Lisa's tension, but every touch felt foreign. Every movement felt awkward. As he kissed her neck, Lisa's breath quickened, not with desires. Anxiety gripped her chest as she tried to will herself to relax, but the moment Robert's hands slipped under her nightgown, her muzzle tightened. "Robert, stop it," she said, her voice trembling. Robert sighed heavily, rolling onto his back. "Lisa, what happened to us now? We've been apart for so long, and now that I'm here, it's like you don't want me anymore." Lisa wiped her tears, struggling to find the right words. "It's not that I don't want you. I do, Robert. But it hurts, like it really hurts. It's like my body is refusing to cooperate. I don't understand." Frustrated, Robert got up and began pacing the room. "I don't understand either. I thought this would be a happy reunion. Instead, it feels like we are strangers." Lisa sat on the bed, her heart heavy with guilt. "I just need more time, Robert. My body is changed. I've changed. You just need to understand that and not make so much drama out of it." "Drama? You think I'm making drama, right? Until I go out there and meet with younger ladies that are ready for me. I can see you are not ready for me." Lisa buried her face in her hand. She was wailing and crying. She doesn't want to lose her marriage. She loves her man. But this is a big trouble. During the weeks that followed, Robert's patience began to wear thin. The tension between them grew with every failed attempt at intimacy. Lisa could see the frustration in Robert's eyes, the disappointment he tried so hard to hide, and it wasn't long before temptation came knocking. One night, Robert found himself at a bar alone and drowning in his own thoughts. That's when he met a woman. She was beautiful, confident, and most of all, interested. For a brief moment, Robert considered it. He thought about giving in to the temptation, seeking comfort in someone else's arm. But just as quickly as the thought came, it disappeared. He couldn't do it. He couldn't betray Lisa. No matter how frustrated he was, no matter how disconnected they had become, he still loved her. So he left the bar and went home, determined to make things right with himself and his wife. One night, after yet another emotional breakdown, Lisa finally opened up to Robert. "We need to talk," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Robert sat beside her, his eyes filled with worry. "What's going on, Lisa? Why can't we get past this?" Lisa took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside her. "It's not that I don't love you, Robert. I do, but my body is like it's forgotten how to be with you. I feel like I don't know you anymore. It's been so long." Robert's face softened as he listened. "I don't understand, Lisa. I've waited for you, just like you've waited for me." "I know," Lisa said, tears streaming down her face. "But 6 years is a long time. I had to learn to live without you. And now that you are back, my body needs time to adjust. We can't just jump back into things and expect it to be the same." Robert nodded, understanding beginning to dawn on him. "So what do we do? How do we fix this?" "We need to take it slow," Lisa said. "We need to rebuild our connection, not just physically, but emotionally too. I want to be close to you again, Robert, but we have to take our time." And that was exactly how they started. Over the next few months, Lisa and Robert focused on rebuilding their emotional connections. They took long walks, shared meals, laughed together, and slowly began to rediscover the love they had once shared. They didn't rush the physical side of their relationship, but instead let it come naturally. During this time, Lisa came to understand that her body had changed in ways she hadn't expected. Being apart from Robert for so long had taken a toll on her body physically and emotionally. She had read that when a woman hasn't been physically intimate for a long time, her body can react in different ways. The muscles can become tense, almost like they've forgotten how to relax. And without regular physical connection, intimacy can feel painful or awkward. But it wasn't just physical. Emotionally, Lisa had built walls around herself during the years of Robert's absence. She had learned to live without him, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. And those walls didn't come down easily. It took time, patience, and understanding to break through them. Lisa also learned that hormonal changes can play a role in how a woman's body responds to intimacy. When a woman isn't intimate for a very long time, her hormones can shift, affecting her mood, her desire, and even how her body responds to physical touch. This explained why Lisa felt disconnected from Robert. Even though she loved him deeply, her body needed time to remember how to respond, and her mind needed time to trust the process again. Robert too learned that patience was the key. He had expected everything to return to normal as soon as he came back. But relationships, especially physical intimacy, don't work that way. He had to let go of his frustration and focus on understanding Lisa's need. They began to talk openly about their feelings, their fears, and their hopes for the future. With each conversation, the distance between them slowly faded. They started holding hands more, hugging without the pressure of it, leading to something more. It was as if they were falling in love all over again, rediscovering each other one day at a time. One evening, months after their journey of healing began, Lisa found herself sitting beside Robert, her hand in his. They weren't saying much, just sitting in comfortable silence, enjoying the closeness they had built. Lisa felt a warmth she hadn't felt in years, a quiet peace that told her everything was going to be okay. She looked at Robert, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel the anxiety she had been carrying. "Robert," she said softly, "I think I'm ready." Robert turned to her, his eyes filled with love and patience. "You don't have to rush, Lisa. We'll take it slow." "I know," she said, smiling through tears that welled up in her eyes. "But I want this. I want us. I think my body is ready. My vagina is ready." They kissed, slowly, gently, and this time it didn't feel strange or awkward. It felt right as they lay together, holding each other close. Lisa realized that the wall she had built around herself had finally come down. The tension was gone, replaced by the warmth of the love they had nurtured back to life. During the time when things were most difficult, Robert had come close to making a mistake that could have ruined everything. When he had been at the bar that night, overwhelmed by frustration and disappointment, the temptation had been real. The woman who had smiled at him had offered him an easy escape from the struggles he was facing at home. But Robert had known, deep down, that giving in to that temptation wouldn't have solved anything. It would have only made things worse, driving a wedge even further between him and Lisa. He had walked away that night, not just from the woman at the bar, but from the temptation to take the easy way out. Looking at Lisa now, he knew he had made the right choice. The road back to each other hadn't been easy, but it had been worth it. They had faced their struggles head on and they were stronger for it. As their relationship continued to heal, Lisa and Robert reflected on everything they had been through. They both came to understand that long-term separation doesn't just affect a relationship emotionally. It had a physical impact too. Being apart for so long had changed them both individually and as a couple. For Lisa, the lack of physical intimacy over the years had caused her body to become tense and unfamiliar with Robert's touch. Her muscle had tightened and her body had forgotten how to relax into the comfort of physical closeness. It was as if her body had built up a defense, protecting her from the emotional pain of being alone for so long. Emotionally, Lisa had built walls around herself. She had learned to live without Robert, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. When Robert returned, it wasn't just about reconnecting physically. It was about tearing down those emotional walls and allowing herself to be vulnerable again. For Robert, the separation had been equally challenging. He had spent years working abroad, focused on building a better life for them. But the distance had caused him to lose touch with the emotional connection they had once shared. He had expected everything to go back to normal the moment he returned, but he quickly realized that relationship doesn't work that way. They both had to relearn how to be together, how to communicate, how to be vulnerable, and how to love each other in the way they once had. The solution to their struggles came down to one simple thing: time. They had to give themselves the time to rebuild what had been lost. They couldn't rush back into physical intimacy, expecting it to be the same as it had been before Robert left. Instead, they focused on rebuilding their emotional connection first. They spent more time really talking about their feelings, their fears, and their hopes for the future. They went on long walks, shared meals, and rediscovered the little things they had made them fall in love in the first place. Slowly but surely, their physical connection began to return. It didn't happen overnight, but with each passing day, they grew closer. They took things one step at a time, without rushing or forcing anything. And when they were finally intimate again, it felt natural. It felt right. As Lisa and Robert sat together, reflecting on everything they had been through, Lisa turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "You know, Robert," she began, "I think a lot of couples go through this, but they don't talk about it. Being apart for so long changes you, physically, emotionally. It's like you have to start over." Robert nodded, his hand gently brushing her cheeks. "You are right, my baby girl. I didn't realize how much it had affected you, but I can see it now. I am just glad we took the time to rebuild what we had." Lisa smiled softly, leaning into his touch. "Me too. It wasn't easy, but we are stronger for it." As they sat together, their hands intertwined, they know that their love had survived the ultimate test. It had been a long, hard road, but they had come out the other side, stronger and more connected than ever. And here is a quick one for you, my beautiful viewers. Have you ever gone through a long period of separation from your partner? Did you find it difficult to reconnect physically and emotionally afterward? If so, we'd love to hear your story. How did you overcome those challenges? Share your experience in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to share this story to your family and your friends who might need it, especially to those who might have gone through separated relationships for a very long time. Till I see you again in my next story. Goodbye.